Hey everyone, Everythingy here with another short OBS video. Today we'll discuss the main encoders of OBS, which are Nvidia NVENC, H264, or NVENC for short, and x264. So let's first open up OBS so I can show you where you can find the encoder settings. First go to Settings, then Output, and there it is. Right now I cannot change it because obviously I'm recording a video. So we have a drop-down menu, and below the drop-down menu we have, of course, the Nvidia NVENC and the x264. Now the main difference between the two is the component of your PC that does most of the work. Encoding a video is usually done by your processor, however it can also be offloaded to your graphics card. X264 means the video is being encoded on your processor, while Nvidia NVENC, as the name implies, will use more processing power from your Nvidia graphics card. There's actually also a third encoder that does not come with OBS by default. It's the AMD Advanced Media Framework, and there's a plugin available for download. And I should have it open right here, and there it is. But I will make a video on that later, how you can install it. Well, as you probably guessed it, that is to use your AMD graphics card for encoding. Now, OBS will still always require a bit of processing power from your processor, but which encoder should you use? It depends on which one of your components is faster, of course, your processor or your graphics card, and also on what resources the game requires the most. Does it require a better CPU, or does it need lots of processing power from your graphics card? One way to find out is just to open the Windows Task Manager and see how much of your CPU, GPU is being used when you're playing a game. So you can just look at CPU and GPU and see how much room you have left. And depending on that, you can decide on which one is the best for you. I myself have an i7 4770K and a GTX 1080, so for most games it does not matter which one I choose. However, games that require a lot of CPU, such as AAA games like Battlefield 5, Gears of War for example, I can get a higher frame rate in-game when I choose the Nvidia NVENC encoder, since my CPU is already busy running the main game. This is mainly because my processor is the bottleneck of my system, and since my processor is older than my graphics card. But for your system, you might have a newer CPU, so the other encoder might be more efficient for you. Something to keep in mind is that the x264 encoder generally outperforms the NVENC encoder in terms of quality, but that's mainly a problem with low bit rates. Then the NVENC encoder can show a bit worse quality videos than the x264 encoder. This is bit rates lower than 3000 kilobits per second, I believe, so that's this field, lower than 3000. But for higher bit rates, there's no difference between them, or at least I can't tell the difference, so I use NVENC for most of my streamings, but of course you can also choose which one you want to use for recording. Also, another thing is that the Nvidia NVENC encoder is not available on GPUs older than the 600 series. So if you have an Nvidia 670, then you can still use the NVENC encoder. But if you have an older graphics card than that, then you obviously have a pretty old graphics card, since the 600 series are already really old, but then I'm afraid you're not able to use this encoder. So I think that's everything. You should now be able to figure out what encoder to use yourself by just opening up a game, seeing how much CPU, GPU it's using, and then deciding on which one is best. I'll also make a video later on how to install the AMD encoder and help people with AMD graphics card get their encoder running and see if it's which one is better for them to use. But there the same steps apply. Just look what you have more. If you have still more CPU remaining instead of GPU, then you should probably go for your CPU, since it also has the advantage of having higher quality video on low bit rates. If you wonder what the other controls do, you can watch my other video on the best OBS streaming settings for Twitch and YouTube. And yeah, that's everything. See you guys next time. Everythingy out.